Welcome back to the Powerbomb Nation, ladies and gentlemen. We got a great show for you this evening. We are going to dive deep because we have double your trouble with two Hall of Fame classes going in this year. That's right, count them. Two Hall of Fame classes going in. So you're going to get twice the wrestlers inducted. We got a great show on tap for you, ladies and gentlemen. So hang on tight. Welcome to the Powerbomb Nation WWE Hall of Fame edition. All right, folks. So welcome to the Powerbomb Nation. And of course, as we mentioned, the WWE Hall of Fame is upon us. And we're getting two classes. Of course, due to the current pandemic, the 2020 class got canceled and moved to be inducted in 2021. And then, of course, we're going to get the 2021 class, which obviously was scheduled for this year. So without further ado, let's take a look and see who we got going in this year. We got Jushin Thunder Liger. Now this one's a very interesting one because this is a guy who's never competed in a WWE ring. He is an 11-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion and a one-time WCW Light Heavyweight Champion. He is considered by the WWE to be one of the most revolutionary competitors in sports entertainment. I would completely agree with that statement. And, looking that he was a WCW guy, I see why they went ahead and put him in. It would have been really cool had we, actually got to see him in a WWE ring. That would have been pretty awesome over the years. But congratulations to Jushin Thunder Liger. Super happy to have him join in the Hall of Fame with all these other inductees. And I think it was a really solid pick by the WWE. Of course, let's go ahead and get William Shatner out of the way. We're always going to get a celebrity wing inductee. Of course, Shatner's made a few appearances on WWE over the year and everything. Nothing real impressive. I'm more of a Captain Picard guy myself versus a Captain Kirk. So William Shatner's never really held that place in my heart he has for everyone else. But, he's been on WWE. He wasn't bad when he was. They got to have a celebrity going in. Do I think he means as much to WWE as someone like Drew Carey? Absolutely not. Bob Uecker, Cyndi Lauper, all the great celebrities over the years, Pete Rose, he's another one that was just a great celebrity. But I am glad Shatner's going in. He is a nice celebrity wing inductee. And, and I also heard that he wasn't able to make to the actual ceremony and that his spot was actually a video montage that came across. So it'll be interesting to see what he thinks about getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And so we'll see how that works out. Again, like I said, I'm not overly excited about William Shatner. I think there's probably some other celebrities that should have went in there first. But as far as star caliber, you don't get much stronger than Captain Kirk. So now we can say that Captain Kirk is an official WWE Hall of Fame member. So let's move on to the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. So now, of course, obviously the late British Bulldog is one of the greatest tag team wrestlers of all time. He's one of the greatest Intercontinental champions ever. And I very distinctly remember the SummerSlam that him and Bret Hart headlined, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, former Intercontinental champion. He was a 2-time European champion, a 2-time WWE Hardcore champion, which that one I found interesting because I cannot remember the Bulldog holding the Hardcore championship. So I'm going to do a little more research on that one. But like I said, 2-time European champion, 2-time hardcore champion, and of course a 2-time tag team champion, all in the WWF, WWE. Now, the British Bulldog was absolutely one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. I actually liked the Bulldogs tag team. They came out with Matilda, which was really good stuff. But I'm really excited to see Davey Boy going in. Now, I know I believe it's his wife, and obviously Davey Boy Jr. are going to be inducting him in. So that's going to be very exciting to see. That's someone I would like to get another chance at a run in the WWE. It would be great to see his son get another shot now that he's had more experience out in MLW and some of the other wrestling venues that you can find on YouTube and other areas of entertainment. But again, we're very excited for the Powerbomb Nation here for the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, 2020 WWE Hall of Famer. So that'll now take us to our next WWE inductee. That would be one Mr. JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield. Now Bradshaw is a very deserving Hall of Fame inductee, in my opinion. He had one of the best heel gimmicks in the WWE for that era. The battles with him and John Cena, him and Booker T. When he put on that cowboy hat and drove out in the limo, it really revitalized his career. Without that particular run, I don't know that JBL is a surefire Hall of Famer without the JBL character. And I know a lot of people will argue and say, well, he was in the APA, and the APA is one of the greatest tag teams ever, which I totally agree with. The APA is a fantastic tag team and one of my personal favorites. Growing up, seeing a lot of the Attitude Era, APA were just a bunch of rough and tumble guys. And going in together, I could have seen Bradshaw getting in this way. But with that last run that he had, him and Eddie Guerrero were absolutely phenomenal. Like I mentioned, John Cena earlier, he's a former WWE champion. He's also Intercontinental champion, United States champion. He's held the WWF Tag Team Champions on 3 separate occasions. He's also held the European Championship. He is an 18-time hardcore champion. He won a Slammy Award in 2013 for the favorite web show of the year with Michael Cole and Renee Young. He is also, of course, longtime commentator and the creator of the WWE Tribute to the Troops series. That in itself may be worth an induction too. But John Bradshaw Layfield, much deserved, my friend. Congratulations on your WWE Hall of Fame induction. So we do got a group going in. We actually got 2 groups going in. Let's get the first one out of the way, the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins, for some reason, the WWE feels are Hall of Fame material. I get they were the most popular thing going on during their time frame. This might be the only thing I dislike more than William Shatner going into the Hall of Fame. Not that I don't doubt that the Bella Twins don't deserve to go in the Hall of Fame, maybe eventually one day, but not right now. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. They've won a Slammy Award before. They won it together. Their main claim to fame is, the twin magic and some of their tag team together. If the WWE would have had the women tag team champion around when these two were in their prime, then maybe we could talk. I just don't understand what the WWE is thinking on this end this early. Not saying they don't deserve to go in the Hall of Fame, but is this something that should have been done this early? And of course, the New World Order for life. So the New World Order, one of the most amazing, charismatic, fan-attracting, seat-selling tickets ever. The NWO was spray-painted all over stop signs, speed limit signs, all in the town I live in back in the 90s. And it's one of the most iconic factions ever. Period. Hands down. It is very arguably the most iconic faction ever. And I love the Four Horsemen. I love DX. And I know the Four Horsemen might be the greatest stable ever placed together, or the greatest group of legends. Maybe. But if they're not, the New World Order would definitely be on their heels, if not above them. Of course, obviously, Nash, Hall, two of the main members, they started it out. Hulk Hogan jumped ship, come join them. So you had three of the most iconic wrestlers ever, and you also had Sean Waltman. Sean Waltman, 6 in WCW, also known as X-Pac, D-Generation X fame. Now, give it to X-Pac getting inducted in with two of the most legendary factions ever. He does become the first person to be inducted back-to-back. It's pretty cool. He's inducted in one as X-Pac, inducted in this one as Sean Waltman. I think they should have inducted him as 6, and then maybe inducted Sean Waltman by himself for his single career. And congratulations to all these guys. These guys are multiple Hall of Famers, each of them in individually in their own right, except for X-Pac. But each of them are in individually, and all are in with the NWO, the New World Order, for life. Too sweet. So that wraps up the 2020 Hall of Fame inductees. But I do want to chat one little bitty thing. The Warrior Award. And I don't think it could have went to a more deserving candidate than Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil does tons and tons of charity work, and something like the Warrior Award is really something that I think is very, very touching and moving for someone like Titus to get. Now, of course, he's going to get it in his hometown of Tampa, Florida, where he does a lot of his charity work. And I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool, too, that he's going to be able to host WrestleMania in his hometown. And obviously, he got to host it a little bit last year because he was kind of co-host with Gronk. And, of course, obviously, Gronk won the 24/7 championship and took off, and it kind of left Titus there to fend for himself. So we are very thrilled. You know, Titus O'Neil, one of the best-looking big men, in my opinion, ever in WWE. I mean, I've often thought that he got very underutilized on camera. I thought he was just really stellar, and I know Vince McMahon was a big fan of him, and they gave him a lot of stuff to do. So I don't know where ultimately the disconnect came, but when he was in a tag team with Darren Young, the Primetime Players, I thought they were a tremendous tag team, and I'm very happy to see Titus getting the Warrior Award. But let's take a look at some of his accomplishments. You know, like I said, he was very heavily involved in charity work with various nonprofit groups, specifically in the Tampa Bay region. He has helped more than 245 student athletes across the Tampa Bay area get into college. Think about that. He has helped 245 young people get their life on the right track and get into college. He's led corporate volunteers in reading books to children and in after-school programs. He's used his story to inspire employees from all types of companies to volunteer. He has taken part in the United Way's walking school bus program in high at-risk neighborhoods by escorting children to school on foot and making sure they get there on time and can gain access to a healthy breakfast. You know, that's something that people overlook in nowadays age. People get so complacent in their life, and they tend to forget that there's people out there that don't get food in the mornings. There's kids that might try to walk to school and get harassed or beat up, or for God's sake, hope nothing worse. So God bless Titus O'Neil. And this is definitely something, he deserves more than this. Definitely deserves more than this, but this is a tremendous award for him. And I'm very happy that he's going to be hosting WrestleMania, and I'm very excited to see it. Now, he also hosts an annual Joy of Giving event where he hands out toys for more than 1,000 children. He also visits children in hospitals that have cancer. Man, Titus O'Neil is just a stand-up dude. I think this was the right choice by the WWE. I think this is something for Titus to have and have his little moment to shine. So even though I'm not a big fan of the Florida Gators, I'll go ahead and give a big chomp to old Titus O'Neil. Titus Worldwide. Hoop. So congratulations, Titus, and welcome to being one of the Warrior Award winners. So, the 2021 Hall of Fame. Now, this class is pretty solid. I was pretty stoked with just about I liked every single announcement they made. And I know a lot of people, let's go ahead and get the Great Khali out of the way. I know a lot of people are like, well, the Khali didn't do anything in WWE. He was a great attraction. He was not a very good wrestler. But, he was the first world heavyweight champion of Indian descent. He won the 2008 Slammy Award. He had the Khali Kiss Cam. There is a lot of entertainment value that came from the Great Khali. And people tend to forget that, the WWE Hall of Fame, it is about wrestling. But don't lose sight of the fact that the WWE is also sports entertainment. And man, there was some really good times when the Khali was the best thing going on SmackDown. It's not necessarily because his in-ring performance, but he was entertaining. The Khali Kiss Cam was great. The Punjabi Playboy was, a lot of people will poo-poo all over that gimmick, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I have no issues whatsoever with the Great Khali going into the Hall of Fame. I'm sure over in India, I'm not familiar with his past, but somebody like this, obviously he gets into wrestling by his size. He's training people over in India. The people in India, absolutely adore this man. So that being said alone, I'm all in on the Great Khali being in the WWE Hall of Fame. I have no issues with that whatsoever. I think anyone who does can get over it because it's sports entertainment. And he was definitely an entertaining spot in WWE for many years. So from one great entertainer to another, let's talk about Molly Holly. Molly Holly joining this year's inductees. She is a 2-time women's champion and a 1-time WWF hardcore champion. She also is one of the best workers that you'll ever see in a ring. She was one of the greatest women competitors of all time, in my opinion. She worked really well when her and Bob Holly and Crash were all in the little Holly stable. That was some good TV. Molly Holly was fantastic in the ring. This is well deserved. And congratulations, Molly, and welcome to the WWE Hall of Fame. So, I'm having a hard time between the last two. Who do I save for last? Let's go ahead and talk about Rob Van Dam. Former WWE champion, former ECW champion, six-time WWE Intercontinental champion, 4-time hardcore champion, 1-time European champion, and the last hardcore and European champion, period. Merging the two belts on his last run there. 1-time WWE Tag Team Champion, 2-time World Tag Team Champion, held the ECW World Television Champion and the ECW World Tag Team Champion on 2 occasions, and also the 2006 Money in the Bank winner. It doesn't get more iconic than Rob Van Dam, which is very deserving of a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame. He is one of the most inventive wrestlers of all time. He has one of the most fantastic move sets, I guess you could say, and one hell of a frog splash. I mean, I would be hard-pressed to think anybody other than Eddie Guerrero had a better frog splash than Rob Van Dam. But if you ask me my top 3, we're going to go D'Lo, Eddie, and RVD. Those are the 3 best frog splashes that have ever graced the squared circle. And Rob Van Dam, in my opinion, made the frog splash cool. He made that move when he went up for it and came down. It looked really damn good. The coast to coast he would do from one post to the other was fantastic. Shane O'Mac made a series of matches off that move alone that obviously he stole from Rob Van Dam. ECW, he was fantastic. I mean, he was a cash cow for Paul Heyman, and his runs in WWE, some of them less than stellar, but it was always good stuff. In the ring, Rob Van Dam, one of the legends of the squared circle, and fantastic to have him in the WWE Hall of Fame. So that leaves us with one remaining inductee for the 2021 WWE Hall of Fame. In my opinion, out of this whole event, oh wait, no, I got 2. My bad. Let's get the other one out of the way. Eric Bischoff. Now, I know a lot of people have given Eric a lot of slack over, well, why is he in the WWE Hall of Fame? His run on WWE was arguably stellar at best. I enjoyed it. I thought he had great theme music. I enjoyed him coming out and him and Vince McMahon being buddies. I liked that whole dynamic that they gave. And obviously Bischoff had a great mind for the business, and he was able to beat WWE for 83 consecutive weeks. By no means is that a small feat. And you could really argue, where would the WWE have been had Eric Bischoff not been in charge of WCW? If the Monday Night Wars would have never happened, and I highly argue that they would have not been able to happen unless Eric Bischoff was there, would the WWE be in the spot that they're in now? Or would the WWE never have gained the Attitude Era? How much did Eric Bischoff, being the opposing person, have to do with the success of the Attitude Era for WWE? For that alone, the man deserves a Hall of Fame induction. Not to mention his runs in WWE. He was a great GM. It was really fun seeing him on TV. Like I said, he has a great mind for the business, and I'm thrilled to hear that Eric Bischoff is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame, of course, taking place April the 6th. It's actually already been taped. But they're going to air it on April the 6th. So let's look a little further into Eric Bischoff here. He is the former senior vice president of WCW. Like I said, 83 consecutive weeks in the Monday Night War. Also a one-time WCW Hardcore Champion, the first general manager for WWE's Raw brand, the creator of the Elimination Chamber match, Raw Roulette. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that he was the creator of the Elimination Chamber, but I wonder if they're just talking about he introduced it on TV. But if he did create the Elimination Chamber match, kudos. My hat's off to you, Mr. Eric Bischoff. And congratulations, well deserved. And welcome to the WWE Hall of Fame. So, now back to where I was before I got off track. The 2021 Hall of Fame, out of all these inductees, this is the only man I see as the clear headliner. Now watch Monday night, they go introduce one more person that just kind of tops this one, but we'll see. I don't think they will. So, the last remaining, and to me, the number one addition going into the Hall of Fame this year is none other than the mayor of Knoxville, Glenn Jacobs, otherwise known as the Big Red Machine, the Monster Kane. Kane is one of the most iconic WWE superstars. He has spanned across generations. He started out in the Attitude Era and was able to take a character that in the time, in the 90s, we didn't think Kane was going to be much more than what he was. We didn't know where he could evolve the character to. You know, he started out, he had the full mask going on. So it really limited what the facial expressions and what he could do, but he was able to get across with so much body language that you could really feel the pain and emotion of Kane. But we always used to talk, you know, me and my buddies, we'd be like, you know, he's probably pretty limited. Where does he go? Can he advance the character any further? And man, Glenn Jacobs did it. He knocked it out of the park. Every iteration of Kane seemed to get a little better. I mean, he went and, you know, he got the partial mask so that way he could breathe a little better and he could talk. He could open up dialogue. He's one of the greatest tag team wrestlers ever. I mean, look, yeah, he was paired with The Undertaker, Daniel Bryan, all kinds of people. Just a tremendous worker, really loves the business, a great big man. It's hard to find big men that just move like Kane. I remember being in Greensboro, North Carolina for Unforgiven, wearing my tie-dye shirt in a sea of Austin 316 shirts as the main event was Dude Love versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. But the match that really stood out in my mind and that was just the most amazing thing I ever seen was the first ever Inferno match between Kane and his brother, The Undertaker. It was tremendous. The two of them going back and forth. I'm so glad I got to see that in person. Number one, just to witness the history of an Inferno match. Not only that, the first ever Inferno match. You could literally, I was only a few rows back, when they would slam each other in the ring and when they hit the mat, you know, all the pyro would rush up on the side of the ring and you could feel the heat just coming up and it would swoosh over your body every time that they hit. I could only imagine the lack of oxygen those two had in the ring, and put on that the phenomenal match that they put on was simply amazing. I've seen Kane at almost every live event I've been to, almost every Raw, SmackDown taping. He seems to have always been, him and Show were in almost every event I seem to have went to. So I hold Kane in a lot of respect. He's a former WWF champion. He held the World Heavyweight Champion. He's held the ECW Championship. He's held the Intercontinental title on 2 occasions. The WWF Hardcore Champion. He's held the 24/7 Champion. Of course, he was mayor when he done that. 2-time Tag Team Champion. 9-time World Tag Team Champion. 1-time WCW Tag Team Champion, SmackDown's 2010 Money in the Bank winner, a 2-time Slammy Award winner. That was for beating up old Jack Swagger. And and he has the most eliminations accumulated in a Royal Rumble match, which that in itself is a fantastic feat. I love seeing him come back for the Royal Rumble, like hearing him come to the ring. I can always expect to see a few bodies hit the floor when Kane enters the Royal Rumble. I think Glenn Jacobs fully deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. In my mind, he is the clear headliner of this year's WrestleMania. I want to go off on a... Did everyone get to see the bump where The Undertaker got to break the news to Kane that he was going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame? I thought it was such a touching moment from two of the most iconic superstars to ever grace the WWE. And it was so cool hearing them share the stories back and forth, which I'd heard them. I'd watched a few documentaries on the WWE Network where they got to sit down together. I've listened to podcasts and all kinds of interviews where they've talked about each other. But see them kind of go back and forth, and then hearing Glenn talk about how he could look out his window there in Knoxville and he could see the arena from where they sat right there at that moment where Kane sat. He could see the arena where him and Undertaker had their first match. And then the Undertaker got to break the news that, buddy, you're going to get to go in the Hall of Fame. And I think Kane legitimately thought he was being ribbed because he had that look of shock on his face and I think was just completely amazed that this was happening. And he seems like such a humble an honest human being, and I was very glad to watch his reaction as the Undertaker told him that he was going to be in the Hall of Fame, because it was really cool. And to see Kane, Glenn, being moved to tears was a very emotional moment. It was enough that it got the Undertaker choked up. And I thought it was really cool. A lot of people will kind of diss the Hall of Fame as being, it's whoever Vince wants to throw in. They bring him some names and it's just randomly done. He's just like, fucking pin the tail on the donkey or something with some various check sheets. Now, yeah, of course, he's got some various checklists. We want, this demographic, a tag team, yada, yada. But, I think he put some thought into it, and I think Kane really deserves this. Like I said, for me and the rest of the Powerbomb Nation, I hope everybody looks at him as the headliner of the 2021 WWE Hall of Fame. And well-deserved, a great career, and from everything I understand, a great mayor. He's a fantastic mayor of Knoxville. The people love him down there. So it's really cool, and I'm really happy for him to get his moment to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And where would we be on WWE programming if it wasn't for the Big Red Machine? Him and Daniel Bryan were one of the best parts. When they were Team Hell No, they were one of the best parts of professional wrestling. When they were with Dr. Shelby, and before they even wrestled, it was great. But seeing their interaction in the ring was phenomenal. X-Pac and Kane as a tag team was great. I mean, Kane was almost the perfect tag team partner for anyone to team with. And then how would you be remiss to not mention the Brothers of Destruction? I don't know that there's a legitimate tag team alive that should be ever booked to really beat the Brothers of Destruction. I mean, come on, Undertaker and Kane together, really? Who in the world could you put together that could honestly, there's some people that could win some pinfalls, but do you think if they actually wrestled 10 times that the Brothers of Destruction wouldn't come out on top? One of the greatest tag team wrestlers ever. One of the greatest wrestlers ever. And one of the coolest gimmicks ever with some of the most awesome costumes. Kane, Glenn Jacobs, we are so glad to see you get inducted in the Hall of Fame this year, and thrilled for you. And congratulations, my man. It's awesome. So I've rambled on long enough about the WWE Hall of Fame here. I see we're going pretty lengthy in time, so thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Check us out. Make sure you stay tuned for any new videos. Follow us on Twitter at Powerbomb Nation. Follow us on Instagram at Powerbomb Nation. Join our Facebook group. Join the discussion. Download Podbean, the fantastic podcast app, and get the podcast in your ears. by your local podcatcher. So make sure you check it out there. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Powerbomb Nation, ladies and gentlemen. It has been my absolute pleasure. And on behalf of the NWO, too sweet.